Tuesday, LSU's back on the practice field. After practice, Frank Wilson will meet with reporters for the first time as LSU's interim head football coach. And as we've gone through the betting odds, Frank Wilson is a notable omission on the list. As we've talked about candidates and people have thrown out names like Lane Kiffin and Dan Lanning, we even had a conversation about, would Nick Saban entertain coming back for a short-term deal? John Sumrall, Dan Mullen, Eli Drinkwitz, Jed Fish, a lot of the names that you've heard and we know. You don't hear people commonly asking about Frank Wilson. And I understand it. I do. LSU is a premier job in college football. It is undeniably and inarguably a top 10 job in the country. You're not going to find 10 other jobs with more resources, more history, tradition, support, all of it than LSU. And considering what I often say, it's the only Power 5 in a talent-rich state, and the only other school that can claim that is Ohio State. There's a lot of reasons why this is a premier job and would attract premier candidates. I'll remind you, though, my mantra during coaching searches: believe nothing, consider everything. And when I say consider everything, consider everything. I mean, Ed Ogeron got the job after being the interim. They targeted Tom Herman. You can laugh all you want with the benefit of hindsight. But the bottom line is they had a verbal agreement with Tom Herman to be the head coach. And when that fell apart, Joe Oliva rushed Ed Ogeron to the podium instead of conducting a complete and full search or going to anybody else. Anything is possible, including Frank Wilson being the head coach at LSU. But I'm going to continue to reiterate this point as well. Who is making this hire is the key point. Now, I've made it very clear my feelings on Scott Woodward. I think he is an excellent athletics director, and I hope he continues to serve as LSU's athletic director. As a Baton Rouge native, an LSU alum who loves the school, wants to be here, and has done an outstanding job of hiring coaches, of generating revenue, of advancing facilities. Like, he's done everything you want an athletic director to do. The knock that people mention is, well, Jimbo's contract and Brian Kelly's contract. And I'll continue to remind you, because narratives are fun and people believe him in the echo chamber. The Jimbo Fisher contract was not Scott Woodward. Ross Bjork is the one that gave Jimbo the extension after they won 9 games in the fake COVID year, and that's what they got saddled with in College Station, not the original contract that Scott gave him. Brian Kelly, it fell apart. All thought it was a great hire at the time. Clearly wasn't. Okay. You'll own that. But I think Scott Woodward is super respected, is an outstanding athletic director. I hope he keeps the job. I do not have confidence that he will, or belief that he will. I was asked point blank earlier today, do I think someone other than Scott Woodward will make this hire and LSU will have a new athletics director? I do, to be very clear. I'm not reporting news. I'm telling you what is my opinion. I'm going to be very clear throughout this whole thing when I'm giving you an opinion and when I'm reporting news to you, when I'm providing you information. I'm giving you my opinion based on a lot of different conversations I've had. I do believe that the governor of the state of Louisiana is going to wield a lot of influence in putting the new president in place in the next few weeks. I believe one of the first duties that president is going to do is to replace the athletic director. I do believe that's going to happen. That is my opinion. I do not want that to happen. I want Scott Woodward to remain the athletic director, but I do not think that's going to happen. So, is a new athletics director in place in time to make the hire? Who is that person? Is that athletics director not hired in time? And then what type of athletic director can you really hire if they're not going to have autonomy to hire a football coach? There's a lot of things that are interwoven into this, a lot of dominoes that need to fall here. You need a new president, what's going to happen with the athletic director, and then hire a new coach, and all do it before December. So this is going to move quickly. But there's a few things that we've talked about. Number one is the finances of it that we all know. You have a massive financial hit with paying this buyout. So if you're looking to go, I'd say bargain shopping, but I think you understand what I mean. If you're not looking to go throw $100 million at a coach and hire someone for a more sensible rate, Frank Wilson is a check there. It's not going to cost you $10 million a year over 10 years to hire Frank Wilson. It's very fair to wonder what type of coach could you lure right now as you start to have these conversations, right? Hypothetically, not hypothetically, like you are making calls. And I don't know if it's Verge Osbury, Austin Thomas, Scott Woodward, members of the board, boosters. Like, no doubt, whatever formal or informal committee LSU has put together, you're already making calls to agents to gauge interest. What high-level coaches are going to be really interested not knowing what athletic director they're going to work for? It's a very fair question, which could shallow out your pool. How much are you willing to spend? Who is going to be the athletic director? Like, the answers to these questions, or not knowing the answers to these questions, could thin out the potential list of candidates. You know who will take the job, regardless of how much it pays and who the AD is? Frank Wilson. You know who's the guy that understands recruiting and culture and all those things? Frank Wilson. Yeah, I'm not sitting here today lobbying for Frank to get the job. But there's a lot of things where you can look and say, is there a path? Oh, yeah, there's a path. We saw it in 2016. But the thing he's got to do over the next month is win 4 games. If they win the next 4 games after losing 3 on the road, if they go to Tuscaloosa and win, and then come home and beat Arkansas and Western Kentucky, and then go to Norman and win, and Frank is 4-0, and salvages this thing from what we saw against Texas A&M, there's going to be a tremendous groundswell of support internally for Frank Wilson. From the players, from their families, recruits, and yes, boosters and admins that love him. That could be a real thing. Now, his head coaching record is nothing to write home about. He coached at UTSA and McNeese. Got fired at both. Clearly, those places didn't have the resources, never will, even remotely close to what you'd have at LSU. And again, this is not my choice. My choice is Dan Lanning. I want to see LSU spend $100 million and get Dan Lanning here. That's my choice. Let Dan Lanning come here and be your Kirby for the next 15, 20 years. That's my choice. That's my number one choice. I don't know if that's realistic, but I am trying like hell to make that happen. That's my choice. But if you're asking the question, is there a path? Is there a way that this could happen, that Frank could become the coach? Oh, yeah. Believe nothing. Consider everything, including Frank Wilson being the full-time head coach at LSU. But again, how much are you willing to spend? Who is making the hire? Until you know the answer to those 2 questions, it's impossible to know what the answer to the question is going to be of who LSU's next coach is. But if you don't think there's at least a possibility of Frank Wilson getting this job, I'd caution you on that. I don't think it's likely, and I don't think it's going to happen. But is there a path? Oh, yeah. And it starts a week from Saturday when they play in Tuscaloosa. You win that game, it gets real interesting. Because you should beat Arkansas and Western Kentucky in Tiger Stadium. And that sets up a dramatic final weekend of the regular season in Norman, Oklahoma, where he could be coaching for that job. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.